Let me read to you a passage from the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 8, verses 1 to 4. It's the Gospel for Friday of the 12th week in Ordinary Time, Year 2. St. Matthew writes, "When Jesus came down from the mountainside, large crowds followed him. A man with leprosy came and knelt before him and said, 'Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean.' Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. 'I am willing,' he said, 'be clean.' Immediately he was cured of his leprosy. Then Jesus said to him, 'See that you don't tell anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer the gift Moses commanded as a testimony to them.'" That's from Matthew chapter 8, verses 1 to 4. And what does it suggest to us? Well, in our Gospel passage today, our Lord has come down from the mountain and large crowds are following him. Undoubtedly, the persons who make up these crowds are there for a variety of reasons. There must have been a lull in the whole proceeding when the man with leprosy came to our Lord. The miracle must have been done for him in some privacy, because our Lord then told him not to tell anyone what he had done for him. Perhaps it occurred during a brief period when our Lord was with his disciples and the crowds occupied with some rest and refreshment. Whatever of that, let us place ourselves in the scene. Imagine the desperation and the despondency of the leper, who saw no hope for himself in his predicament other than what might come from his approach to Christ. So he comes to him and actually kneels down before our Lord. He pleads with him to make me clean, telling our Lord that he knows he is able to do it if he so wills. He has no doubt about our Lord's power, and he is appealing to his kindness and consideration. Our Lord immediately, at a word and at a touch of the hand, heals him of his leprosy. And then, significantly, he commands him not to tell anyone, but to go and make the ritual offering to the priest as the law required. In passing, we may note the respect our Lord displays for the law of Moses. But let us consider that first stipulation he gave to the former leper. He was not to tell anyone of the blessing that he had just received. It looks as if our Lord did not want to be caught up heavily in this ministry. If our Lord had healed the leper, why, we may ask, did he not set about healing all the lepers? He could perhaps have done it at a word, which incidentally he undoubtedly could have, had he so willed. Why then did he allow the suffering in the world to continue? Why does he still allow it? It is very obvious from this brief gospel scene alone, some might assert, that our Lord's mission on earth was not to take away all the sufferings of the world. Well, why so? The short answer to this is that obviously we do not know. But let us immediately add that our Lord's mission did indeed include taking away all the sufferings of the world, but not fully just yet. In the immediate term, he did come to bring peace and joy, a share in his peace and joy to the world. He said on one occasion that people were to come to him and learn from him, and they would find rest and peace for their souls. "My peace I leave to you," he said. "Not peace as the world offers it, but my own peace." Furthermore, he commanded his disciples to spend themselves in serving the world's suffering. But very importantly, his kingdom, established in its beginnings here, will reach its fulfillment and its fullness hereafter, and then indeed every tear will be wiped away. So Christ did come to take away all the world's sufferings, and so to make all things new. But there is an appointed time for this to take place in its fullness, and that appointed time is at the end. We do not know why it had to be this way, but such was the plan of God. And even with our leper, let us remember that our Lord did not liberate him from all suffering, only from his leprosy. In respect to suffering, our Lord's miracle for the leper is a sign of what will eventually come to all when God is all in all. But now, more importantly, our Lord's stipulation to the leper that he tell no one of his cure shows that his mission was far deeper. He did not want his messianic mission to be misunderstood. While he did not come to take away all suffering in all persons immediately, he certainly did come to break the power of sin immediately. He came to break the stranglehold of sin on the life of the world. As St. Paul writes, by nature we are all under the power of sin, and sin is the root cause of suffering and death. Mankind was separated from God by sin, and this is the fundamental problem of the universe. It is the cosmic issue, and Christ came to fix it at its root. He came to cure the fundamental wound that debilitates the entire world. He would do it by obediently bearing its effects in his own sinless person, and thus expiate for it all. The picture of the leper coming to our Lord for the greatest favour of his life, as he saw it, is a picture also of Christ as the answer to the world's need. He has taken away the sin of the world, and what remains is for that work to be applied to every single individual. It is applied when a person is placed in him, above all by baptism, and then by a life of union with him. Union with Jesus is life for the world, now and in its fullness hereafter, when God's plan will be fully achieved. Let us then accept Christ into our life as the treasure of all treasures, and as the pearl of great price.